The wrecking ball of journalism. He's blowing stuff up. You know, I just said on the air, the KD thing, I've got too many people I trust, you're one of them, that are telling me the exact same thing. Is it the KD thing? You said it yesterday. It's over. It made big news. After a while, and I've always felt, I like sources. I go to dinners. I went to one last night. I try to stay connected. But there are times when I can get tunnel vision, and I look at Durant leaving and think, this is insane. This is basketball heaven. Right. But you would not have come on the air and said that if you didn't have it sourced multiple times.
No, and look, I'm with you. I feel the same way. It's such a gamble to go from a perennial winner where you're a champion.
Brilliantly run.
To New York, where it's a mixed bag and they haven't had any success. And I look at how he feels about the media, and I think the media is overblown in New York and how tough they are. But nonetheless, they're there every day and they're coming after you, and KD hasn't done well with that. There's plenty of reasons for me to say, this doesn't seem like such a good idea. But when I have time throughout the entire season and people from every avenue saying, no, it's happening. He's going, and this is where he's going. It's hard to ignore that.
No, I think it is. And for the record, the winner, of course, is the NBA, because between the ping pong ball lottery and Kevin Durant, the NBA has flourished for 20 years without New York. It's like the NFL can work without the Cowboys, but when the Cowboys now have Dak and they win their division, the NFL's ratings are better. Like, there are certain organizations, it's good that Notre Dame's good in college football.
Sure.
Kentucky and Duke matter in college basketball. The NBA's had a great 20-year run without the Knicks, and it's like it would just explode.
Yes, but they've always had at least one major city that's been in the mix.
Right, Chicago, L.A.
Yes, and I know a lot of people want to say, well, parity is the best thing for the NBA. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's great for the NFL. For the NBA, the numbers say that when you have a stalking horse, when you have that championship team that everybody's going after, and you have dynamic stars, Cleveland, Cavaliers, Warriors. Everybody can complain about, oh, here we go, Warriors and Cavs again. The numbers were as good as, they hadn't been as good as that since the Bulls and the Michael Jordan days. Yeah. So the numbers say people who complain about it not being, there not being parity are not looking at the big picture.
Dynasties almost always equal ratings.
Yep.
So Jeannie Buss comes out yesterday and acknowledges, we haven't lived up to it. Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski, comes out and came out and said, basically, this thing's not working. Nobody's aligned in the front office. I get a lot of people in Los Angeles that will come up to me and say, man, you've already turned on the Lakers. And I say, because I have new information, it's worse than you think. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. Do you?
No, not for what the expectations are the second that they got LeBron James. The expectation was, here we go, we're going to be a championship contender. This season was big fat zero, sub-zero, because they didn't even get to the playoffs. They didn't even get to see their young players in that situation. And now they're stuck in a place where, look, the clock is ticking on LeBron James. I know people want to say he's got 2-3 years left. I believe, and most people around the league believe, what we saw injury-wise this year and energy-wise, that we're beginning to see the end.
Yeah.
And so can they build a team around him fast enough to take advantage of what he has left?
That's fast, speed. I don't see it.
And here's the thing. They were on a different track. You know, Joy was saying they should just, realize you can't live off the past, start over, start from scratch. They kind of did that. They went and got Luke Walton. They had a bunch of young players. And here they go, and they're building, and everybody's kind of, okay, we're getting along. And then, oh, LeBron wants to come. Well, let's move everything aside, and let's make it happen. And now you have LeBron, but now you have to build a team around LeBron. It's a completely different script.
Yes.
And so you blew up the other one, and now you're starting with this one, but you're starting with one that I don't know that the timeline works.
Or the pieces fit. LeBron.
Well, they certainly don't. Yes.
Listen, the two people that I think have a chance to end up here are Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis, and they don't work with LeBron.
Right.
Anthony Davis is not a shooter. Therefore, he has to score low. Therefore, he's always in the paint. Therefore, he's doubled. Therefore, LeBron can't score at the rim.
No, I said it at the beginning of the year, and I didn't think it was going to happen. But ideally, if this was going to work, LeBron James needed to come in here and say, I'm not going to worry about offense. I'm not going to worry about passing Michael Jordan. I'm going to lead us to the defensive end because we've got Rajon Rondo, we've got Lonzo Ball, we've got Kyle Kuzma. I mean, if you looked at the talent that was here, it was all offensive. It wasn't defensive. It was taking a page from Kobe Bryant with the national team when they had Carmelo and LeBron and all those guys, and everybody's like, well, how are they going to do that? How's one ball going to satisfy LeBron and Kobe and all that? And Kobe said, I'll be at the defensive end. I'm going to set the tone there. And it opened up everything, and that's how they redeemed themselves from a national perspective. I never expected that LeBron was going to do that, but if this was going to have any chance of working, that's the only way that I could see it work.
Because offensively, the reality is everybody in the world is looking for shooters. The Lakers had two, Lou Williams, Brook Lopez, gave them away.
Yeah.
They're not getting them back. They also gave away Zubac to the Clippers, which is a head-scratcher. Every scout I've talked to doesn't get it.
Yep.
I don't mean to be harsh, but is it possible Magic's a little over his head? He's never done this before.
You can go from the very top. I mean, Jeannie is great as a businesswoman. She's great on the business side of things. Who is she going to turn to in this case to handle the basketball aspects of it? Magic has been involved in baseball. He's a great businessman outside of the NBA, but he doesn't have the connections. This really takes people that are in the weeds and grinding out those gems that you find, those hidden players that you can add to the equation. They just don't have the base of knowledge between Magic and even Rob Pelinka.
He was a very, very good agent, but he was an agent.
Yes, and an agent. And so the other part is you have to have relationships built. You have to have a network. The reason that Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs pull all these guys from all over the place is because they have a worldwide global network of people that they can trust and count on and are going to give them a tip and a valuable tip on, you need to go check this guy out. And they trust those. And you can't build that infrastructure in a year. The Lakers are starting from scratch in so many ways. And in this market, this is where I understand the appeal. Because with Luke and with the team sort of building and getting a little bit better, nobody was that excited about the Lakers. It was still, okay, but when are we going to be a championship team again? When are we going to play for another ring? Whether it's the cost, whether it's the stars, whether it's the Hollywood, whatever it is, that is part of this market. And they're always going to be steering toward that. But I believe that there's no answer other than to do exactly what Joyce said. Take it down.
Yeah.
Have a little patience. Build it back up. And trust that you're going to have a new Lakers regime.
I was talking to somebody yesterday in LeBron's circle, and they were getting annoyed with me. And I said, listen, and they acknowledged this was fair after I said it. I said, LeBron comes with a lot of weight. I said, Tom Brady, you get the coaches, you get the players. I don't have an agency. I'll just show up, grind, and take my couple teammates to Costa Rica. LeBron's heavy.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter wasn't heavy. Peyton Manning was heavy. Brett Favre at the end was heavy. Mm-hmm. Brett was a lot of weight on the franchise. Tippy-toe around, not offend him. Aaron was in the building. LeBron's gotten heavy. Not all his fault, but he's called the chosen one and the king. And the king is not part of the court. The king's above the court. Mm-hmm. People walk on eggshells. And I said this yesterday to somebody in LeBron's circle. I'm like, there's a lot of girth and heaviness, and you're always trying to appeal to him, and you don't want to offend him. And I'm like, that works in Miami where it's so well run and they can handle it. You're throwing him into L.A. where this front office is not elite.
Yeah. Well, you also had a Pat Riley who was able to put him in his place or talk to him equally. You also had LeBron at a position where he needed something. He needed something from Miami. So Pat could say, look, you need a ring? And he dumped the rings on the table. I can show you how to get one of these. So LeBron was amenable to that. This is my biggest issue with LeBron James with the Lakers this year, is that I have not heard him once take any accountability for the disappointment that this season has become. Not one single element. It's always, about the players. If you're not about, winning and facing the music and all that, then this franchise is not for you. And various elements. But it's never been, and this is not, I think he would admit, this has not been a great season for him. His
Optically, it's been a disaster.
Energy hasn't been there. There's been a number of things. He's never once taken it upon himself to say, I need to be better. I needed to do this.
By the way, all these projects, not one Laker has ever been in any of them.
Mm.
Other stars on other teams.
Yeah.
Just one Laker? You couldn't put Lonzo Kuzma in a Sunday calendar section, LA Times. LeBron announces, I'm done for the year. He's on the front of the calendar section talking about business. That's not reaching down to your teammates. That's separating from your teammates. We got to go. Ric Bucher, great stuff. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.